Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining today's webinar for OmegaOne. It looks like just about everybody is logged in, so we will go ahead and get started. Thanks again for joining our webinar this afternoon on OmegaOne New Year Prep. My name is Heather McLeod, and I am with OmegaFi's professional services team, and I have with me today Sarah Beth Russell, who is also part of OmegaFi in our professional services team, and Sarah Beth will actually be doing the majority of the training today. Before we get started on the training, I wanted to just first give an introduction to OmegaFi and then also make sure that you all are aware of the questions feature here. Just to give you an introduction to OmegaFi for those of you who may not know, OmegaFi is actually the company that manages and maintains OmegaOne among several other products. We've actually been around for more than 30 years, and we provide technology solutions to help customers with a wide variety of things, such as managing finances, streamlining operations, recruiting new members, and communicating with members, which is a lot of the features that you will see today. We work with 57 different headquarters, as well as local chapters across the country, house corporations across the country, and IFC and Panhellenic councils, as well as alumni associations across more than 650 campuses. And we continue to remain the industry leader when it comes to technology in the fraternity and sorority community. We are based out of Columbus, Georgia, where we securely process more than $1.1 million per day for our clients. And we've actually securely processed more than $4 billion since we started in 1992. So we are deeply committed to serving and promoting and advancing the fraternity and sorority experience. And we aim to make raving fans with every individual like you or group that we work with by reaching and innovating and acting with agility. And we challenge ourselves to dream big every day and to help others achieve their dreams as well. So to say that we are passionate is an understatement, and it's this passion that has encouraged our clients to trust us to do the heavy lifting so that you all can focus on your mission and having fun. All right, so that's just a little bit about OmegaFi. Once again, before I turn it over to Sarah Beth to do the training, I want to make sure that you all are aware of how to submit questions throughout the training. So you should see in your window there a little question box. So as Sarah Beth is going through the training, if you have any questions about anything, feel free to type them in there, and we will get them all answered before the end of the webinar. So let's test that out, make sure that you see that question box and that it's working correctly. So if you could please just in that question box, type in your name and your chapter information so that we know who we're talking to here, and also again just to test that out and make sure that it's working okay for you. So if you don't mind, just go ahead and type in just real quick your name and chapter, and we'll make sure that's working. And then like I said, as Sarah Beth is going through the training, then you can use that same question box to submit any questions that you have. All right, and I see those coming through now. Thank you very much for testing that out for us. We appreciate it. All right, so I'll turn it over to Sarah Beth. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Heather. So to start off today, we're going to look at what our agenda will be. So on today's agenda, we're going to look at how to get logged in to OmegaOne. A lot of you guys are probably adding new members for spring if you are doing spring recruitment. So we're going to look at how they are going to get logged in, as well as adding and updating any other members as well. And then we're going to go through the admin features, and we'll go through each of those as a brief overview to look at deleting any old information and how to set up stuff for this current semester. And then we'll look at email and text communications, and we will also look at groups as well, how you can create those for communication. And then we'll do Q&A at the very end. So when you add your members to the system, they're going to get this login email here. They'll click to create the account and go through those steps, and that will get them logged in. Now, if you guys use any other OmegaFi products, such as Vault, My OmegaFi, or Omega Recruit, then you may already have a login. If that is the case, then when you go to create an account, it will let you know that you already have that, and it'll ask you to sign in, and it will link those up for you. That way you'll have access to both of them all through the same login. Looking at this here, this is what your user level accesses are going to look like. So when we go to add your members, these are what those accesses are going to look like. Your basic members are going to have just the member level access. They can basically do the base level that everyone can do. Officers and admins will also have that. So appealing for points, tracking study hours, appealing for study hours, checking into calendar events. They also have quiz mode, so they can learn the sisters by face, and they can also view any information within the system. So birthdays, contact lists, any files that are uploaded, and they can answer questions and polls. If you are an officer access level, you're going to have everything that the member has, as well as you'll be able to manage announcements. So you'll be able to go in and add those. You'll be able to manage calendar events, excuses. You'll be able to upload files and manage that file folder. You can add questions and polls and manage groups and text. And then the highest level is going to be admin access, same thing as the officers and members, but you'll also have the ability to have manage access for a lot of the user functions. So study hours, if you guys have an external website with OmegaOne, then you'll have access to that as an admin, and then adding your users, managing emergencies, and as well as points. So having a successful spring semester is going to be as simple as 1, 2, 3. We're going to go through today, updating your user access, and then how to utilize your admin tools, and then also how to keep your users informed with those mass communications. So going into OmegaOne, this is going to be the home screen when you first log in. And when you go to the menu on the left-hand side, the admin and officer levels are going to have this tool right here, the wrench and the screwdriver. And we're going to first take a look at managing users so we can look at how you'll add those and update those as well. So like I said, if you guys have new members coming in this spring, you're going to need to get those added. Depending on if you guys have an integration with OmegaOne via your national organization, this may look a little different for some of you guys. If you do have an integration, then when you add them to your regular login system through your national organization, that information will pull into OmegaOne, so you won't see this add multiple users here. If you don't have an integration, this is how you're going to add those users. You'll click on this. You can download the template here and upload those new members by putting their information in the template and uploading the file. Make sure you save that as a CSV file before you upload, and then they will be added to the system. And you can also add them individually. So if you have like a transfer coming in and you just need to add one, you can add that here. Choose the member type and the access level. Additionally, if you need to update any of your users, so if you guys just had officer transitions and people haven't been updated yet, you can select who you want to see. Any administrators who are no longer administrators, you can remove their access level, drop them down, and then you can look through your regular members and add whoever needs to be bumped up to an administrator if that's the case as well. So that's how you're going to update your members. Another thing that's great on this page is if a member hasn't received their login email, you can go to the edit with the pencil icon and resend their login email to get that to them. They can also go to get access as well. Next, we are going to go through the various admin features, starting with managing points. So managing points, this is going to be great if you guys use a point system for your members to help with member involvement around campus. This is where you can put all your points opportunities in there. Now, if you guys haven't already erased file information, you can export everything. So you can go through and export any file information. If you need to save that, you can do that by person as well. So once you export that information, you can go to the settings under the menu up here in the right-hand corner. And from there, at the very bottom, you can clear out all points. So if you're wanting to start fresh for spring, you can go ahead and clear that out and start over. Once you clear out your points, you can also look at this page to see who you're tracking your points for, percentage, how you want that ranking to look like, and appeal settings. So basically all your basic settings, however you're wanting to set that up based on what your chapter does, is going to be through this menu here, and you can do that after you've cleared your points. Even if you are not clearing it, if you do have a new officer here under the appeal setting, you want to make sure that you choose. So if you're going to have members able to appeal their points, you want to make sure you choose an officer to notify when they appeal. So just make sure that is updated. And then through this menu here, you can do a few different things. You can add points possibilities and categories. So the categories here are in blue, so you can break down those points. If you just don't want them all listed together, you can break that down to make it a little more manageable. And then the adding the points possibilities, that is going to be the individual ones underneath each category. You can also manage your appeals from here. So if any of your members have appealed, you can check that here and either approve or deny, where they'll get a response. So if we look at the manage appeals, if there's an appeal, if you approve it or deny it, it will go ahead and send that member the response on that. When looking at adding the points possibilities, this right here is how you're going to add it, and you'll be able to go through this menu here, choose who's going to be able to see it, and then submit that for your points possibility, and then it will show up in this right here for your members to be able to appeal for it. Or you can also link points possibilities to an event within your calendar. So if you want it to be where members can just automatically get their points, you can link it to that event as long as there is a check-in system on that. And once they check into the event, they'll automatically be given the points as well. Managing announcements is going to be next. So this is where your officers and admins can add announcements. From here, they can have a title, they can put in the text, and they can also add attachments as well. And then if they add attachments and they need to go into the files, which we'll look at later, they can choose any of the folders for that to go in, or if it's not something that they want in the files, they can uncheck that as well. Again, this is where you can choose who's going to see that. A lot of times we will get questions about why certain members aren't getting notifications. Sometimes it's because who you have it visible to. So make sure that when you're putting in announcements, or even when you're setting up your points, and when you're uploading files, anything of that sort, if it has this option here of who it's going to be visible to, just make sure you're looking at that closely, and the people who need to be able to see that have that, and that people are updated into the correct group. So if you don't want new members seeing a certain announcement, but maybe one of your members isn't seeing it, they may still be marked as a new member. So you can check that as well. But this is where they can add that announcement, and then you can also say how you're wanting that to go out. So typically the publish to OmegaOne wall is always going to be selected. You can deselect that if you don't want it on the wall, and then you can send it as email, text, or push notifications. Now, another thing that can occur with this is if your members don't have their notifications set up correctly, if they don't have their settings in their phone to allow for push notifications, or they don't have their phone number updated or their email updated on their profile to be able to receive notifications, then that could be why people aren't receiving those as well. And we can look at later where on the profile they can update that. And then you would just add the announcement and it will go out accordingly. Next, we're going to look at managing study hours. So this is a really great tool if you guys track study hours, or if you don't track it for the whole chapter, but if you have some members who are maybe struggling academically and you want to track that for them, this is a really great tool to set that up where they can log their study hours. So looking at this here, it's automatically going to show you by person how many study hours each member has, and then you can also view it by study location. This is all the locations that we have set up, and then you can also view that on the map as well. Again, just like the points, if you haven't cleared out fall and you want to start fresh for spring, you can go to the settings and clear out all study hours to start new. And this is also where you can set up how those are going to be tracked. So whose study hours you're tracking. If you want new members to participate in that as well for practice for when they become a member, you can have that set up for them as well, and your start of the week. And then you can also block off hours as well, depending on like time and location. So here you can see there is blocked off hours at this time, because in the calendar during this time you have chapter for this particular example, so they're not going to be studying during that time, so they've blocked off hours for that. And then you'll save that when you're done. And so now also looking under that menu, this is where you can add your new locations and manage any appeals. With the study hours, that is done via geolocation. Now the geolocation is only available on the mobile app since you have that on your phone. So with the mobile app, definitely have your members download that so they can track study hours and be able to do that automatically. Now, if they are unable to, for whatever reason, they didn't have their phone on them, or a certain area was not a study location, but they were studying at that time, they can put in an appeal for administrators to look at and be able to approve or deny. If we're looking at adding a new location here, it's going to give us a map. We can enter a location, so if you know the address for it, or you can zoom in on the map as well, wherever you're looking to do that. And essentially, let's find, so if we wanted to make the library on campus a study location, we can do that. Well, I've just zoomed in, but you want to hit add marker first. Once you're zoomed in on that location, you'll go to the middle of the location and click and then drag it outwards. You want to make sure you encompass the whole location. Again, because that's based off of the geo tracking on your phone, sometimes that can be a little finicky. So you want to make sure you make that location as big as possible to capture anybody who's within the building when they pull up their phone. And then you can set hours, days of the week, however you're wanting to do that. You can name that, and then you can save the changes, and it will now be in your study location list. And then when you're looking at managing the appeals, it'll be under here. If there's any appeals, again, just like with the points, it will let that member know when you approve or deny that. Moving on to the calendar. The great thing about the calendar is you don't have to clear that out as it changes with each month. So any events that you previously had, if you want to go back and look at any information on that, you can go to that. You can pull check-in list as well from old ones if you're wanting to, but you don't have to clear out the information, which is nice. And this is where pretty much you will add any of your events. You can color code your calendar under the color settings here, so you can make whatever colors you want just to make it a little more organized, so members can see, you know, if this color it's going to be a social event, or however that may be. When you go to add an event, you'll fill out the information, say who it's going to be visible to, put in your event time and date, and then you can make it a reoccurring event as well. If you do have a reoccurring event, you can't have a check-in on that. One thing to note there is that you wouldn't be able to have that. If it's not a reoccurring event, then you can add a check-in on that. You have 3 different options. So the location-based check-in is essentially just like how you do the study locations. It's going to pull up a map, you'll draw the marker, and when your members show up to the event during that time, they will go to that event within the calendar and click the option to check in. And if they are within that location blob, then they will be able to check into the event. The other 2 options are passcode check-in. So it'll generate a passcode for you. You can put it up on the whiteboard or anything if you guys are having a meeting, and members can check in using that specific passcode, or you can have QR check-in. This one is really great if you're having an event and your members have to go see a certain exec board member or something of that sort when they check into the event for information, that admin can then have the QR code pulled up on their phone while they're giving the member information. They can scan that QR code and that member can get checked in. So whatever event check-in type you choose, or if you choose not to have a check-in on it, you don't have to. But if you do choose that, you can also link that to a points possibility and you'll be able to choose that. So you do need to have the points possibility in before linking it to the event. If you don't have it when you create the event, you can always save the event and later go in and link the points possibility. And then also depending on the event, if you want members to be able to submit excuses, so this is really great for like chapter, they need to submit excuses for that, then you can allow that and members will be able to have that possibility to submit that and you'll be able to review it. And then again down here, similar to announcements, you'll have where or how that's going to go out. So you can choose if you want to email, text, both, and then you can also set up a reminder, which is really great for the calendar. So whatever time and date that event's on, if you want it to send a reminder 2 days before, a week before, however you want to set it up, you have the ability to do so. And you can also have that go onto the wall. So if anybody's going through the recent feed on the wall, they would see an event was created. Manage external websites. Again, that is if your chapter has a website through OmegaOne, then you'll be able to do that here. You just click on that and hit go. Managing excuses. This is tied to the calendar, so you can look at it from here, or you can also go to the event and do that as well. So if we go back to the calendar, if it's one that has excuses, you can view the excuses here. So, or you can also view them here. So any excuses will come up here and you can approve or deny them and that member will be notified. You can also look at the settings here. This is another one you probably will need to update. Again, you can clear past ones. So if there are some that are no longer relevant, you can clear all those before the start of the semester, but you'll want to make sure that you update who is getting those excuses when they go out and then update that accordingly. Then we have managing emergencies. This is your emergency check-in. You can read through how that kind of simulates, but you can either do the emergency check-in or you can run a test as well. So it'll ask you when you click on it if it's a test one or if it's real emergency. This is a really great tool, especially in situations on campus that campus may be unsafe or natural disaster, just to be able to check in with your members, make sure everyone's okay, and be able to track kind of the status of all your members at that time. Then we have our files here. You can add files accordingly and make folders to go with that. So here you could add a folder if you want a different folder that's not already available, and then you can edit those after you've made them, but the ones that have stuff in them, they'll have that drop down. So this has a file in there. When you add your file, you can put all the information to go with it. And one nice thing about this is you can make it password protected. So if it is a file that only certain members need to be able to access, then you can password protect that. And when you add the file, it'll allow you to add it to a pre-existing folder, so you don't have to move that around after it's added. It'll go ahead and do that for you. You can also notify people that something has been added to the files if it's something they need to look at immediately. We already looked at manage users, so we're going to go on to the questions and polls. This is a really great feature that allows members to interact with a question or poll that an officer or admin has put out there. This is really great for quick information. So if you're needing something or you're pulling something for an event, this is really great for recruitment options. If you are including the chapter in some of those decisions, what people are wearing or what a theme would be for bid day, you can kind of put that with these questions and polls. When you go to add it, it'll take you through all the information. You can choose how that answering system is going to be set up. So it can be options where you click it, you can click multiple, or you can do open text. If you want members to be able to submit their own answers, you'll basically go through all of this to set that up and customize it accordingly. And again, it'll ask you how you want that to go out. This right here, this is going to be if you want to add some quick links. So if you guys use a particular billing service or you want to add a quick link to your nationals website, anything like that, you can add the link name, add where that would go, and then under your menu options where your links are at, it would be stored under there for quick access when members are within their OmegaOne settings. I believe that's under this, so it'll be a link under that. And then looking at managing groups next, this is part of your communication, so it's going to tie in with your emails and text, but groups are something you can create to specify your messaging. So if you have like a specific committee, you can see here we have an officer election committee set up. You can do that accordingly. When you add your messaging group, you can set that up. So let's say you do recruitment committee, and then you can put the direct email address of who is going to get the responses to that group if anybody does respond, and then you can choose who's going to be able to join or how they're who's going to be able to join. So if an officer or admin has to add them, or if it's people are able to choose to join, and then who can send within the group. When you're looking at how to add the members, you'll go to manage the list, and this is showing that it's added all members here. If you want to remove people, you can move them over accordingly to narrow that down, and that is how you can create your groups for that. And then you would just add the messaging group and it'll appear here. The nice thing about that is then when you're going to your managing your emails and text, it will also appear on who you can send the message to. So when you're looking on who to send it out to, it'll show any groups that you have available. So that's really nice for the admin who's going to send out that communication to be able to just quickly select that. So on the email and text, this one we're looking at here is for email specifically. You can add files to that. You're going to have a lot more space to work with in terms of what can be in the body of that communication. You can also queue it to send later. So if it's not something that needs to go out right this second, maybe you're working late through the night and you want it to go out at 8 a.m., you can queue it to send later and choose who all is going to get that. And then if you are doing a text message, it's going to look a little different just because you are a little more limited in how much you can send. You do have a 140 character limit, but you can still choose what group you're wanting to send that in and send that text. That will be immediate. You won't be able to queue that. Now for any messages you have queued, you can also view them here and push them through if it needs to go out. And that takes us through all the admin. Through the spring semester, communication is going to be your best way to success. So just make sure your members are logging in and that you guys as admins are updating your calendars, your points, study hours, so that your members are able to easily go in and use that. And then training is also really important, so you can review webinars and in-app help. And actually, let me go back to this and I can show you. So if you are having questions while you're going through things here, you can go to the Get Help. This is going to take you to our help center that has a plethora of articles available to help you, and as well as video and webinars. So if there's anything that you're wanting to go over, you can search for that. You can click through and see what all is out there. If you're still not finding what you're looking for and you're having trouble, you can also submit a request. And once you choose what's going on, put all your information in. Make sure you're providing as much detail as possible, so that way when our software team receives this, that they will be able to best help you out. The more information you can give them, the better. So if you have any files you need to, or not files, but if you have any like screenshots or anything that you need to attach of what may be happening or what you're trying to figure out, that is going to give them the best insight on how to help you. And then one other thing that I did think about when we were talking earlier about how to update things, this is where your members would go to update their preferences. So under their profile up here at the top, they would go to this and they can choose their OmegaOne preferences. They want to receive text messages and then push notifications for, and they can select what they want to receive that for. And so they just need to make sure that those are on in order to receive everything that is going out for the chapter. And one other thing that we did want to talk about today, we do have a new feature that just went out yesterday. That is our OmegaOne chat feature. So you can actually chat within OmegaOne with individual users or with a group. It's a really great feature to kind of do more quick messaging and allow your members to better interact with some of the communications and announcements. It's more so admins sending things out. This is going to allow your members to be a little more interactive with you guys. So you're just having more feedback on that. You can like messages, add emojis, and you can also mention members within that and include links and files. So it is a great new tool that we're really excited about. So definitely look out for more information. We're going to have some stuff coming up with more information on that and how to use it, but you can definitely go ahead and check it out and poke around with what is already out there while you're waiting for us to have more come out on that. And then now we'll go to Q&A. Heather, do we have any questions that have come in?
I think all of the questions that came in have been answered, but I did just want to reiterate a couple of things. Sarah Beth, thank you for going through all of that and providing that training. Again, just to reiterate a couple of things that Sarah Beth mentioned. Of course, we have the Help Center available to you. That red button at the top of the page is always there where you can go and search for articles and videos to get answers to the majority of your questions. And then if you are unable to find an answer or have additional questions, feel free to email us at that email address there, softwaresupport@omegafy.com, or you can submit a question right there within that Get Help section too. Also, as Sarah Beth mentioned, we are very excited about this new chat feature that just rolled out yesterday. So I encourage you to take a look and start using it. It has lots of cool features like Sarah Beth said. This will really help with any type of communications you have within your chapter for a variety of reasons. You can have the one-on-one chat, or you can create several different group chats for maybe if you want to chat just for your officers, everybody in there, or perhaps another example is you may have create a chat for all of your new members that are coming in. So just lots of different ways that you can use it. Please get out there, take advantage of it, and then we will have more resources coming in the Help Center very soon too. Also, another thing for those of you that use the websites within OmegaOne, we just rolled out a Help Center for Omega sites as well. So when you're out there making edits to your website, you should see the help button at the top right of your screen, and you can click on that to get additional resources too. So lots of things out there to help you out. Of course, you're not on your own, so please feel free to reach out if there's anything that we can help you with this semester. And then continue to watch your emails as well. We send out helpful tips and tricks throughout the semester, and we will continue to host webinars like these throughout the semester too. So feel free to attend any future webinars, and then even if you're not able to attend the live webinar, go ahead and register for them, and we'll make sure that you get the recording and you can go back and watch that at a time that's convenient for your schedule. And I think that's it. We appreciate everyone for joining this afternoon. Let us know if we can help you, and best wishes for this spring semester.